Well, much like leaving a design flaw in the Death Star that made it easy to destroy, there's a cruise man whose mistake is costing him $6,000. And it's really an interesting question for us as a cruise community. Is it this 85-year-old man's fault, or is it something nefarious by Norwegian Cruise Line? This is just one of the stories in today's cruise news. It's cruise news and my views. Let's talk about it. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to La Lido Loca. I am your host, Tony, and I am your father. Well, I'm a few people's fathers, but man, I'm your cruise daddy. How about that? Look, happy May the 4th. May the 4th be with you always. A simple question in the Star Wars universe: which episode of the Star Wars 9 films is the best? Obviously, the answer is Empire Strikes Back for a couple reasons. Reason number one, the Battle of Hoth, pretty amazing. Reason number two, you have the I am your father, whole line play out. And also reason number three is Boba Fett. Before they did the TV show, he was a baddie. I like Boba Fett. What's your favorite Star Wars episode? Leave a comment below. But look, we're not here to talk about Star Wars, even though we've been talking about Star Wars. We're here to talk about the cruise news. Keep it on track, people. I got a pile of it for you. Cruise news story number one, MSC Cruise Line. They're launching their new luxury brand, the Explora's Journey. And one of the features of that luxury cruise brand is they are partnering with world-class chefs to bring unique dining experiences to their anthology restaurant on board. Now, as I was preparing to share this story with you, I had this thought: simply hearing a chef's name, will it evoke a Pavlovian response? I don't know if it's because I'm such a fat kid or just because I love food so much, but sometimes the anticipation of ordering dinner or cooking will make my mouth water, and I didn't know if I had the same response when I thought about celebrity chefs. So if I say like a Bobby Flay, or if I say a Gordon Ramsay, or if I say a Guy Fieri, does your mouth water? None of those things just made my mouth water, but I was just wondering, what gives you that Pavlovian response? Ring a bell and I'll salivate. That's a deep cut. Who sings that song? Lying in bed just like Brian Wilson, the chef that is going to be on the new Explorer One's cruise ship for the MSC Explorer's Journey. He is an Italian chef, and his name is Mauro Uliassi. Now, I don't know this guy from anywhere, but he is a Michelin Star chef in Italy. And the Michelin Star is one of those indicators that the guy's got some chops and's got some credentials. And depending on what he's cooking in the Mediterranean, there could be lamb chops on the menu. I don't know, those kind of chops. But have you ever heard of this guy? Is this impressive to you that Explorer's Journey is partnering with these Michelin Star chefs to bring a high-end food experience to their passengers? Who's your favorite celebrity chef? R.I.P. Anthony Bourdain. Leave a comment below. Cruise news story number two, and before I get into it, you may wonder, well, what happened to you yesterday, T-Bone Malone? Aren't you always on the internet? I'm fighting some jet lag and a head cold. So if I look like I'm crying in some of the most recent videos, it's probably because I was dealing with some sort of coughing fit. And of course, the jet lag is still messing with me a little bit. I don't even know what time it is. It just feels early or late in my body. And so I took the day off yesterday, but I missed you guys. And sorry I didn't have a show for you, but I'm back in the saddle again. I'm back. Aerosmith final tour coming up this year. Cruise news story number two, the Carnival Luminosa. Carnival Luminosa is making its first appearance in the United States. It's kicked off its Alaska season. Luminosa came over from the Costa Cruise brand. It was rebranded. It did its initial sailings down in Australia, and now it's kicking off its cruise season from Seattle in the United States. Doing the standard Alaska fare. It's going to have 3 stops in Alaska: Ketchikan, Skagway, Juneau. In addition, it'll be making stops in the Tracy Arm Fjord and in British Columbia. Columbia, that is in Canada. The Luminosa will be doing Alaska sailings all the way through September, and then she will reposition back to Australia on a mega rega 30-day journey, going through Japan, going through some Southern Pacific Islands, South Pacific Islands, back to Australia, which is pretty exciting. Carnival Luminosa, just one of 3 cruise ships doing Alaska cruises this year. I'm going to be on one of the other 2. Cruise ship number 2, the Carnival Miracle. I'm not going to believe in that one. I'm not going to be in that one. I'm not on that one. I'm going to be on the Carnival Spirit in September in Alaska. Are you cruising Carnival to Alaska? Have you ever done that? This will be a first for me. How did they do in Alaska? Leave a comment below. Cruise news story number 3, also a Carnival cruise news story. This one talks about a cruise port that's somewhat forgotten, a cruise port that's not been reactivated, like a sleeper cell of cruise ports, not been reactivated since the shutdown. We're talking about the cruise port there in Mobile, Alabama. It holds a special place in my heart. That was my very first embarkation port. They're finally going to get cruising going again in Mobile starting later this year in October, when the Carnival Spirit will start doing its cruises from Mobile. This is the largest cruise ship that's ever cruised out of Mobile, but it's a small enough cruise ship where it can fit under the bridge that they have to get out of Mobile. And it's only the beginning for the Carnival Spirit in Mobile, which is good news. Mobile is one of those cruise ports where it's always questionable whether or not they're going to be able to keep their cruise ship. And now Carnival has extended that relationship at least into the 2025 season. They have released sailings that you can book for the Carnival Spirit in 2024 and in 2025 out of Mobile, Alabama. Roll Tide Roll. I'm very excited that Mobile will have some cruising there. A lot of great people, a lot of great cruisers in that area. It's good to know that they will have an option for at least the next couple years when it comes to cruising out of Mobile. Cruise news story number 4, let's talk about the earnings of the Royal Caribbean Group. They had their financial announcement for Q1 2023 this morning, and well, the story is good. Much like we heard from Norwegian Cruise Line Holdings earlier in the week, Royal Caribbean also coming out and saying that they've exceeded the guidance that they set forth for this quarter. These numbers are really fantastical when you compare them to last year. In Q1 of 2023, Royal Caribbean generated $2.9 billion of revenue, and they only lost $47.9 million in Q1. And that's still a buttload of money, right? $47.9 million. But if you compare it to the net loss of Q1 of 2022, that was $1.2 billion. So yeah, simply just on those couple high-level financial markers, and there are many more, but just on those 2 high-level financial markers, you can tell that there is some improvement, not only in Royal Caribbean, but also in the demand for cruising. Hopefully that will be reflected in the stocks. I'm still sitting on a pile of stocks that I'm waiting to come all the way back. I think I'm not alone in that scenario. Come on, cruise companies, make your money back, please. Now, I got to tell you about the dude who lost $6,000, and there's some question whether it was his fault or Norwegian Cruise Line's fault, and it's something that we can learn from. But before I do that, let me quickly, and I mean, quicker than you can make the Kessel run, quickly, let me invite you to subscribe. If you like to stay up to date with everything that's going on in cruising, please consider subscribing with the notification bell on. That way you don't miss out on any of these episodes. It doesn't cost you anything. It allows YouTube to notify you when the show comes out so you can be a part of the notification squad, and it does me good. It helps me out, so that would be much appreciated. Let me try it a different way. You will subscribe to this YouTube channel. This is the YouTube channel that you're looking for. Ludacris is the author of all songs. Did you subscribe? Did I get you? That was a little Jedi mind trick. All right, here's the story. 85-year-old cruiser named Leonard. He's booking an Alaska cruise for himself, his girlfriend of 37 years, and then his girlfriend's sister, whose name is Martha. Wouldn't it be ironic if his girlfriend's name was Mary and Martha? I don't know what his girlfriend's name is. That's what I'm saying. But yes, so he goes and he books a cruise with Norwegian Cruise Line to go to Alaska. Now, Leonard and his girlfriend are U.S. citizens, but the sister is a Colombian citizen here, with the proper paperwork to be in the United States. Now, when they received their cruise documentation, their cruise contract, there was some language in there that said cruisers will be responsible to have the correct visas so that they can enter in the countries that they're going to. Now, their Alaskan cruise is going to U.S. ports, no big deal, but their cruise is also going to Canadian ports, and they started to wonder, 85-year-old Leo started to wonder, does Martha need a visa to get into Canada? So they ring up Norwegian Cruise Line. They get some sort of answer, but not a definitive answer, and then they get worried. They figure better safe than sorry. Let's get Martha a Canadian visa. They go through the visa application process for Canada, and she gets denied. Not sure what to do. They go back to Norwegian Cruise Line again. They ask more questions, and they still don't get the warm fuzzy about what to do. And so they decide to cancel the cruise. He cancels his cruise expecting a refund. However, he canceled the cruise within 25 days of the sailing, which according to the terms and conditions of his contract means that he is entitled to nothing. To zero. No refund for Leonard because he canceled too close to the cruise. Well, as you can imagine, that left Leonard a little bit disappointed, and he reached out to an advocacy group called Bamboozled to see if they could help him get some sort of resolution. And the resolution that Bamboozled got was pretty much a letter from Norwegian Cruise Line saying the policy is that, if you cancel, you don't get your money back. And also the policy is that it is up to you to understand the travel documentation requirements for the countries that you are visiting. So listen to me, do not depend on the cruise line to tell you what documentation is required for the countries that you are visiting. You can use websites like the US State Department. They have a lot of good information to tell you what the travel requirements are for foreign countries. Or even better, you can go to the foreign countries' official websites themselves and suss out what kind of documentation that you need. Is it fair? Does it seem right? I don't know, but that's what the is that it is up to you to understand your requirements. And even before you cancel a cruise, you've got to understand what the penalties are for canceling your cruise instead of just canceling it and thinking you're going to get the money back. No shade on Leonard here. It's understandable how these kind of things happen. But these contracts are written specifically to protect, businesses. And they don't want to be given money back just on the whim of people canceling because they haven't determined what their travel documentation is. Do you think the cruise line should be the one that tell you what the travel documentation is? Do you think the responsibility lies with the traveler? I would love to have that conversation in the comments below. All right, I got to make the jump into hyperspace. I was visited by an old teacher of mine, Ben, last night. He told me to go to the Dagobah system, seek out Master Ludicrous. So I'm going to do that. May the force be with you always.